And we are live, episode 3 of the weekly podcast with Jeff Boski and
Michael Haag.
Welcome, Mike, on behalf of PokerTube.com, bringing you the weekly podcast for everyone to watch and enjoy the current adventures of living in Las Vegas, poker news, poker drama, and whatever else you want to talk about.
Yeah, anything's open, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
No political correctness meter. We can out the scammers. We can talk all about what's going on Twitter, poker Twitter beefs, World Series updates, everything that life has to offer.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing.
Well, let's jump right into it. Big news with I read an article on PokerTube.com that the November 9 is no longer delayed.
Yeah, I read that.
Okay. They've been doing it for 10 years with the 3-month delay after the final table hits. What are your thoughts about that?
I like they took it away. I like it that you play through and what's the break time? I forget.
It was 3 months.
Yeah, what's it now? Like a couple days or something before the final table, or?
Yeah, the details are on the article on Poker News, but I think with Poker Central is now stepping in to do some of the live streaming and some of the coverage, and ESPN is still with them, but providing more hours, and the final table will now be in 3 4-hour segments with significant breaks in between. Unsure how long, but 4 hours live, maybe a day break, and then 4 hours, day break, 4 hours. And
yeah, that's crazy.
I think it's much better just for the hype. They originally did the postponement so people can get sponsors, they can hype it up, but it seemed like more people would just forget about it.
Yeah, I was one of them. I didn't watch the World Series final table last year at all. I couldn't even tell you one hand that was played there. But I also think that momentum's a big thing too, and I think when you take that away from players, that really hurts them. Because when you go into the final table and you just played all those days and you have all this momentum on your side and confidence and you're just ready to close it out and not wait 3 months to come back, and now everything's changed. You don't know what happens throughout players' lives that changes their mindset, or they obviously it's good for the weaker players because they can spend time studying and becoming better players, the weaker ones that make the November 9. But we're playing this down because you're trying to crown the best player in the tournament, right? The best player, and the best player is going to come through with all the confidence and momentum on his side and just be ready to take it down. And not give a break where these other guys who are weaker can now spend 3 months catching up and getting better at the game.
That's true. I often disagreed with the way, because of that aspect alone, you can spend thousands of dollars on coaching from top pros, and people would often give percentages of themselves of what they win instead of just paying the top pros, which is kind of the same thing, but it really incentivizes them to get a lot better than they would have normally been if it just continued the next day.
Yeah.
So who you know and who you can enlist on your team would be a big part of that. I know one year I sold, I think 10% to 3 really well-known pros that were clearly better than me, just high-stakes crushers, and that was just an added bonus. I knew if I made the November 9, these 3 guys are going to do everything in their power to make sure I have the best chance of winning.
Yeah.
And we're going to be crunching the numbers for 3 months straight. With 3 of the top guys. It's not only going to help my game forever, but it's really going to help my equity for that tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
So although I think it was slightly unfair, I didn't capitalize. I never cashed the main event, 10 years going.
Really? I haven't either. I think I played 5 times. I haven't cashed. I made day 3 the last 2 or 3 years, and I still didn't cash.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah, play 3 days for $10K and you don't make a dime.
And they often say it's the worst day of the year, the day you bust the main, because all your dreams have been crushed, and question your livelihood and your place in the poker world, that all these other randoms are making it deep and you're just not there, and that's just part of gambling.
Yeah, it is. That's what it is. You gotta really get through that minefield. This event is the one where everybody should and does play.
Oh yeah.
So it's a huge minefield you got to get through just to get there. So.
All the top pros are in there, but all the lucky recreationals that won their local bar league satellites have gotten 20 backers to each put up a couple $100 to put them in this event. So it is the highest equity event of the year. With the deep stack play, 50,000 chips, 2-hour levels, do you think your cash game knowledge is going to help you a lot this year?
I think so. I definitely believe so. Because I think that the main event caters more to a cash game grinder's strategy because it is such a deeper structure. And being a cash game grinder and being used to approaching your game in a deep stack manner, that really gives you, I think it gives real good cash game grinders an edge over the tournament grinders, even though it's a tournament. But that's just my feeling. That's how I feel. Like if you watch throughout the last few years, as the events become deeper, you can see some of these great cash game players going really deep in it because it just really caters to that style, being that it's such a deep event. It's one of the deepest events you could play, actually. So.
Absolutely, it makes sense. Tournament players are more used to 30 blinds and below push fold ranges, where a cash game player is 100 blinds, and you're 100 blinds for a lot of the main event.
Yeah, and tournament players, they're looking for their pre-flop edges more than post-flop edges, which is cash game players, they look for more post-flop edges than pre-flop edges. So that's how it caters to them a little better, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I've been grinding a lot of cash in the past year and a half, so we'll see how that works out for me.
Yeah, my buddy already won a seat on WorldSeriesOfPoker.com.
Oh, sick.
Every Sunday. Pro tip, I shouldn't even be saying this, but if you happen to be lucky enough to be watching this podcast, there's a $200 satellite on WSOP every Sunday, and I don't think they've hit the guarantee once.
Wow.
So all they need is 50 players, and they've gotten, I think, 30 to 40 every time. So
I guess I'll be playing that this Sunday.
Yeah, winner take all. So it sucks to get second, but you win first, and that's real sweet for $200.
Hell yeah.
Bobby.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bobby.
Good
for Bobby.
Shout out to Bobby.
Yeah, my buddy Ryan did that. I think it was 2 years ago. He won $200 on his main event seat.
Yep,
That's so sick.
They also run the big megas too. I think for 200.
Oh, nice.
I won a seat in that a couple years ago. It was real nice. And simple process: go to the Rio cage, fill out some paperwork, and boom, you're automatically in the main event.
Yeah.
So check out WorldSeriesOfPoker.com. Not getting paid, but it's the only legal site in Nevada. If you happen to be here playing when you're here during the series, you don't have to live in Nevada. As long as you're geolocated by your cell phone, you can play on WorldSeriesOfPoker.com.
Yeah, you see a lot of people at Rio. They'll be playing the event they're in, plus they're playing events on the WSOP.com on the phone. Because is it still the same? Like I remember you couldn't play on the same IP address. Like if I'm here and you're here, we both can't be on there under the same IP address.
You can, because it just geolocates with your phone. It sees if your phone is physically in Nevada, and you can still play it, because otherwise, everyone at the Rio, only one person could play, I think.
Yeah, that was the thing. I heard that, like, if you're at the same IP address, you couldn't, but then at Rio, you were fine. Like, it was weird. Like, a couple years ago, I heard that, so I think they're totally wrong.
I think they fixed that, because I think people have been at the same house playing the same IP, but
I don't play on there much, so.
No, they got a $333 tournament this year online, $333K guaranteed.
Nice.
So they're looking to get 1,000 people, and that's, I think, the second day of the Colossus. So
day 2 of the Colossus, or second starting day?
The second flight day. There's 3 starting flight days.
I can play that day.
Yeah, and it starts at 3:33
nice.
p.m. The gimmick tournaments are real. It gets the greatest turnouts, and people just love it compared to the vanilla 1500.
Yeah.
I've even questioned registering some of the 1Ks and 1500s because they just aren't as soft as the 888, 333.
Yeah, I don't have them on my schedule. The 1Ks, 1500s that are no guarantees or nothing, because it'd be great. The value's there to get a bracelet, and for a 1K and a 1500, the value is definitely good, because this is the only time of the year where you play them, and your first place is huge. But I look for more for the higher values. The one you're gonna get the biggest fields, the best value.
Yeah, softer the field, the better. It's like cash game selection. Tournament selection is important.
very much. Yeah.
When you're playing cash games, how often do you just look at the table and say, "Oh, floor, can I get a table change?"
Constantly, actually. Yeah, I always look at the table. Like last night, I get seated in my cash game. Immediately, I can look at the table and know that it's not a good game. I could tell that it's going to be a nit fest and nut peddlers. So I'm right when they called me a table, I told the floor person, "Hey, put me on table change," because I knew it automatically. But yeah, I'm always looking to find the best game in the room and keep an eye on which one's the best table to be at and how mine is. And I try to do the best I can. Like I've said before, I've worked on my game a lot over the past year. Now I've really made a big turnaround, and I've actually sat in some games recently in the past 3-4 weeks where they were tagged as like the worst game in the room, but my playing style nowadays really dictates the pace of the game now, which is great for me. I'll sit down. I've made my biggest profits in the games that were supposed to be the worst ones in the room, just because my playing style now. I tend to dictate the pace. I don't let my opponents dictate it any longer. And if the game's bad or slow or anything, I'm in there like 3-betting a lot, opening a lot, squeezing a lot, and then a lot of the players just tend to start becoming like I don't know, they don't know how to adjust. The next thing you know, they're just like losing their minds trying to get in hands because I'm in every hand, I'm battling, and so it ends up being a good game. Like I've done it like 4 times the past couple of weeks, and it's been pretty good to me. So
you take them out of their comfort zone and you do the opposite of what the table's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And they just don't know how to adjust. The only thing they can think of is, I want to play this hand. I don't want him to keep being in every pot, winning, and just go crazy. I got some crazy hand histories from the past, 2-3 weeks that are mind blowing. What these people do just because they can't handle the fact that I'm in there 3-betting, squeezing, opening a lot. I'm 2-barrel and 3-barrel. They're just like, they get to a point where, I'll open, or I'll 3-bet, I'll get a cold call, and this time I have aces, and the flop's jack high, and I c-bet as I always do, and I'm all in for like 100 bigs. I'm like, call, and then board runs out, and they turn over 7s, just because they just don't know, they want to play a hand, they don't want to let someone keep dictating it, so they don't know what to do. So that's been good, but sometimes you get stuck. I got stuck in a game last night that was pretty brutally slow, and I was like, I got to get out of this game, because nobody was just putting money in the pots unless they had it. It was just ridiculous. And then finally I got lucky and got paid off with quads. I told you that hand earlier, but it was not a good game at all. Wow. I'm always scouting tables. I think that's real important to game select and table select.
How does that work with the floor with table changes? Who gets hierarchy in that situation?
Whoever asks for it first. Yeah, okay. So I'll go up there all the time. Like sometimes there'll be a game and say like, oh, table 17 looks really good, right? And I'll go up to the floor and say, hey, put me on table change for table 17. And they'll be like, okay, but you're like 3rd on the list because people want their 4th or 5th because everybody wants that game, So it's just whoever gets there first is how that works, yeah.
I know there's been drama in the past with Greg Merson talking about the ARIA private games, the 5100s, how people will just call in, or the floor will actually call people saying, oh, big fish is in the game, you want to be on the list. 8 people are automatically signed up for it, and you never have a chance to get in that game.
Right.
Do you ever see that problem at 2-5 or 5-10?
Nah, not a 2-5, 5-10. You don't really see that.
Okay.
But I've been around it at Aria with that game that goes on the 100-200 game, and they try to close people out, and it became a problem. It's an open game now. The funny thing is I actually see 2-5 and 5-10 grinders in the 100-200 no limit now inside Ivy's room. Now that's an open game, but they find ways to shut out the sickos and freeze them out.
Huh.
Yeah, they'll do stuff like have a list of friends. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the list, like 3 or 4 of them, so the sickos like way at the bottom of the list, they'll never get in because if a seat opens, they bring their friend in to just kind of take up space while they're playing. So
politics.
Yeah, it's all about politics.
So
when you start getting up
politics.
to those nosebleed levels, it's very, very much about the politics.
Do you tip the floor men for giving you table change?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not all the time, but I do. I'm kind of a pain in the ass though because I'll get on table change the list and then they'll be like, Mike, table change? I'll go look. Nah, I'm good. Go sit back down. Keep me on the list though. They'll call, hey, Mike, table change. Nah, I'm good. Because I'm very selective and it's important where I go to my games. So I'm a little bit of a pain in the ass, but I get along with them great.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
you want to play in the best game possible.
Yeah. So I got to tip them. Hey, man, sorry about me being a pain in the ass. Here you go. But they're all cool. They're super cool. They got great floor staff up there at Arya.
Oh, yeah.
I really like them a lot.
How often do you do seat changes?
That I don't do very often. Last night I did it 3 times within 2 hours. So that was a first for me in a while. But yeah, I don't do it that often. Like if I'm kind of dead in a spot in a seat, I don't really think too much about seat changing. My seat changes are based more on players at the table, like the deeper, the positioning on the players is my main. Like a lot of people, they seat change because like, oh, I'm card dead here, or I'm running bad here, or this seat sucks. That's not the way I think about it. I think about more like
it's illogical.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, we're all
superstitious.
Same position, all that stuff. So it's like, it doesn't matter.
No good cards coming to seat 3. Got to go to seat 5.
It's goofy.
It's an auto shuffler. I mean, shuffle.
Yeah, so it's goofy. But yeah, I do it based on, want to get position on certain players. If a big stack comes in my game, or if there's a big stack in my game, and I want to sit to his left because I want to kind of abuse him as much as possible. I do that. I don't really fear too much of having good players to my left. It used to be a big issue for me because I always had a lot of issues adjusting to them and how to approach them. But nowadays, mine is more about like, how can I get in the best position to abuse the bigger stacks? I don't care if they're a good player or bad player, but whatever. But if I get a good player to my left, I'm comfortable with it. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all.
What's more important, having direct position on the best player at the table or the biggest recreational at the table?
It's a good question. I would, if I was to choose, I would rather have position on the biggest recreational at the table. Because typically they're going to be the stickiest, the most, they're going to have the highest frequencies and wanting to play a lot of pots and all that. So I want to be to their left more than I want to be to the left of the good player. In that way I could really take advantage of that.
It's a good tip.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion. Some people might argue against that and say you'd rather be to the left of the good player. But I don't mind because, like I said, I feel like I can adjust well enough nowadays to where I would benefit more being to the left of the rec player, especially if it has a lot of chips, than I would be being to the left of a good player.
It's like getting first dibs.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's the way I look at it. It's good. It's a good way to put it. You get first dibs. Yeah, because when he's open, you're 3-betting. You kind of take the play away from the good player who is behind you. That makes it a lot easier for you. You're trying to ISO this guy and target him the best you can and stop it before because if he's opening and now you're just flatting and then you have another really good player behind you to act, now he's going to see that opportunity and go, okay, the recreational's opening. This reg player who's competent is only flatting. There's a great spot where now I can 3-bet and get an ISO the recreational. So then that makes your night hell
for sure.
Your session, whether it's night or day. So I'd rather be the guy in between where, I can dictate that a little bit better.
Yeah, just gotta worry about getting squeezed, but then you can just always adjust to their squeeze frequencies.
I would also say it's based on stat. Like with the recreational player having, I would hope he had like around 200 bigs. That's where I would feel better about it. If he was 100 big, sub 100 bigs or 100 bigs or something, I wouldn't really care. Then I would probably rather be to the left of the good player, because now it's like, okay, there's not a significant stack to really pick on or target or anything. But now I want to get to the left of the good player, and that way you could have 2 spots in between you then, because then you could have the recreational. We might be limping a lot, and then the good player's ISO raising him, and then now you can 3-bet him, and now you kind of got a better scenario. Actually, maybe I want to go to the left of the good player with him being to the left of the recreational. That might work out better. I'm gonna redo that.
Well, I think that's good. It's a good topic for discussion that I haven't really heard anybody talk about. Just about positioning versus recreationals and regulars.
Yeah. But I think I still stand where if the recreational has a big stack, I want to be to his direct left rather than the direct left of the good player.
Yeah.
But if the recreational has 100 bigs or sub 100 bigs, and it's not worth my time. I'd rather be to the left of the good player because then now you, like I said earlier, now he's flat, he's limping, he's raising. Now you can 3-bet, and yeah, I like that. I like that scenario.
Okay.
Put that in my notes.
Yeah. Noted. How often do you ask for a wash of the deck?
Never. I hate that shit.
So I would have bet on it.
I hate that shit.
Because you're not superstitious. You're not like, usually, shout out to the Asians out there, but I think they ask for washes more than any other nationality.
I would agree with that for sure. Yeah. I used to be really superstitious. I've kind of cut a lot of that out. There was stupid stuff I would do, like when I would leave for a tournament, I'd leave my hall light on when I come in. So that always means when I leave during the day, that means I'm coming back late at night because my light has to be on so I can see. So it was like, I had weird superstitions like that. Yeah.
That could have some positive influence.
Yeah, it's kind of give you like that,
just,
good thing.
Yeah, just the confidence. I know, I forget where I read it, but if you just sound psychotic, but if you stare in the mirror and just say, I'm a winner, or I'm going to win today for like 5 minutes straight, just looking at yourself, it increases your chances of winning.
Nice.
Because you're like brainwashing yourself instead of being like, man, I suck, I can't win. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
Won't be a good outcome.
Yeah. Do you ever do? Recently, I started doing where I write down on a piece of paper 3 times.
Intentions.
Like, during the what my daily goal or intentions would be.
I know Joe Rogan advocates that. You want stuff, or more like just getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Like, gotta go to Home Depot, gotta go to the grocery store, gotta get an oil change. You'll just keep putting them off unless you write them down, and you have to look at it every day.
Yeah.
Cross it off the list instead of just being floating in your head.
Yeah,
it helps me.
Yeah, I write down, like, I do that with my notes because my daily stuff, because I'll forget stuff easy. But before I go play a tournament, like the last 3 or 4 main events, a couple of Venetian, Win, and PH, those ones that I played.
Yeah.
I'd write down before that day, I'd say, like, I'm going to play it to the best of my ability and, and win the turn or whatever, just something positive. I'll write it down 3 times and try and get that in my head and bring positive thoughts to my day. Yeah. I don't know. It's not really a superstitious thing. I guess more of a positive thing. Bring positivity when you leave the house and go to play.
Yeah, no, you got it. The zone is real. In tournaments, cash games, people are tilted, they're drunk, their wife just left them. They're not going to play as good. There's not. And just being mentally aware of everything that's going on and, what the right play is without getting your emotions involved. Yeah. Like, I know I was playing with a woman at an unknown casino, and I've played with her before, and whenever she loses one pot, she just gets tilted. And I told her I wanted to help her out this last time. I've seen her do it before, and she lost a pot, raised, folded to a 3-bet. Got pissed. And I was sitting next to her, I said, listen, don't get emotional. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that's the worst thing you want to say to a woman. They take that as offense. Yeah. Emotional? What do you mean don't get emotional? And she just went off on me. Yeah. And I'm just like, I was like, wow. Okay, well, that didn't work. So she calls the floor over.
Oh, wow. Went that far?
Yeah. And I didn't, that's all I said. I'm just like, what? Yeah. I'm just trying to help you out. Nothing aggressive. I wasn't trying to tilt her. Yeah. And she just lost it. She even went as far as to say, loud as hell, to the floor and everyone else, this is why more women don't play poker.
Wow.
I'm like, wow. Because I harassed her. I'm such a bad guy. Just harassing women.
Bad guy.
I love harassing women.
Yeah. That's your daily goal. That's what you write down. Harass women more.
Check. Harass women. Okay. Yeah. Check.
Change oil up and harass women. Exactly. That's it. The emotions that run high at poker tables are unbelievable. And back in the day, I used to be one of those types that would come to the tables like years and years ago. And it took me a minute to be able to control my emotions too. I just wasn't, because I'm very competitive and into what I do and stuff. And I had to take time to really learn how to sever the emotional ties to the game and just play my game and understand that if I get in aces to kings for like, even if it's a million big blinds and he hits a king on me and I lose, there's nothing I can do. That's just the way it is. If I play my game right and I lose, that's fine. But so many people get emotional for so many reasons. A girl last night, I mean, not picking on girls, but it just happens to be last night. There's a reg player up at Aria. She jumps between the 2-5, 5-10. I played with her a couple of times this week in the same session, and both times, like if she loses the smallest hand, she gets so upset, throws the cards at the dealer, and I'm going, wow, and she's here every day. You can't be like, and the session I played with her 2 sessions ago, it was a standard hand. I called down with I had 10s, and there's a queen high board, but it ran out pretty decent where I can call. And, or no, it was a check flop, but I called turn, called river, and she had another under pair, and I probably shouldn't say the hand because now if she ever watches, she's going to know I'm talking about her. But she loses a hand. It was a small pot, and she's like, this table's going to fucking kill me. I don't know what, just blah, 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 getting all upset. And I'm like, she lost like $40 in the hand. Like, it was ridiculous. And it was a standard hand. She didn't get bad beated. She didn't get cooler. There's like nothing to it. And I was like, wow. And then of course, like, she doubles up like 20 minutes later, and she's all happy, and then she'll lose a $100 hand, and she's winging the cards back, and I'm like, what? And it's not only her. I see guys do it too, very often. I see some guys get real upset, and they still feel like they have to berate the recreationals and go off on them, and I'm like, man, what are you doing? Like, this is terrible. These are guys that play every day, and I'm like, shocking to see that still. Like, they just don't grasp it. You can't be doing that. I get cooler, I get beat, all that. Like, nowadays my emotions are pretty under wraps now. I can take it, like, whatever. Oh, and we talked about last week. Okay, we talked about calling clocks on people.
Yeah.
That's a very emotional thing. Man, people do not like to get the clock called on. I got the clock called on me this week, and it was totally legit. Like, I went in the tank for an excessive long time. I sent you that hand when I got check raised on the river.
Yeah.
And it was a very tough spot. Everybody I sent the hand to, they all said they would have folded, so they obviously know it was a tough spot.
With the trips?
Yeah, and I was in the tank for an excessive long length of time, which I don't do that very often.
Mm-hmm.
But this was one of the spots where it called for it, and one of the guys called the clock, and I accepted it, and I ended up eventually making the call before they even started the clock. I finally broke it down to where I felt good with the call, and I called and I was right. And I even said to the guy, because one of the other guys said something about the clock being called, and nothing bad, but I said I deserved it. I was in the tank for way too long, and I appreciate you guys being patient up to that point. You guys could have even called it earlier than that, But I don't understand why people get so upset. I had a guy the other day, this Euro kid at my game. He was excessively tanking every time he was in a hand. And it slowed the game down so bad, and I dealt with it for about 4 times, right, where I was like, this game's so slow, but I still don't want to be calling clocks and start to cause any tension at the table. So finally, like the 4th or 5th time, he got to the river, and of course it took him forever to get there because he takes so long to call a bet. Gets to the river. The guy on the river bets half pot size bet on the river is like 300 into like 635 or something, right? So it was even a little less than half pot size. And this kid went in the tank forever. And finally I was like, man, I gotta be like, I told Dad, I said, clock. And he, instead of thinking about the hand now, he gets all butthurt and emotional. He's like, you just call the clock on me? I was like, yeah, man, you're in the tank too long, man. I was only in the tank for 1 minute. I was like, no, not even close. And all the guys at the table agreed. He's like, you're an asshole. He just calls me an asshole at the table, all loud. And I said, in a nice, calm voice and manner, I said, hey, buddy, I guarantee if we were outside of this casino, you would never call me an asshole to my face. And then Reggie, Dan Martin, if you know him, he's at my table. He's funny as hell. He's like, I concur that. He's off to join in. He's so funny. And then the kid apologized to me immediately. He's like, I'm sorry. I mean, call you an asshole and stuff. He's like, you just upset me with the clock. I'm like, don't get upset. It's just... But he's like claiming he was in the right. He absolutely wasn't. He was in the tank for like probably 3 minutes before I called the clock. But it happens every time. Like, you call the clock and they get so upset and emotional. You know, it's crazy.
It's a sensitive subject, but in the long run, it's worth it. You'll regret not calling it sooner because you'll find after you clock someone, they act a lot quicker in the future because they don't want to have it called them again. They don't like the negative attention. It's like calling someone out. I played a 365 turbo a year or two ago, 300 plus 65 rake turbo, and as the tournament started, I looked at the table. I said, anyone takes more than 30 seconds on any decision, I'm calling the clock on you. We're seeing 20, 30-minute levels. Rake's already high enough as it is.
Right.
It's a turbo, not a tank show.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine, it's fair." Never had to call the clock. Never even close.
Good.
Just the thought of having the clock called on them made people stop just stupid tanking.
Yeah.
And I think the new World Series clock rules will help that a lot. I know when I had a conversation with Matt Savage, you can find that on PokerTube.com. He said 90% of the times in his whole career, tournament director, Matt Savage, said 90% of the times the clock is called, they fold. So they're going to fold anyway.
They did 90%.
90%. So he comes over.
I had no idea it was that high.
So we figured out that if you want, people might use this against me, but if you want a fold, call the clock. Because they're going to fold anyway, and it's more likely they're going to fold now that you have the audacity of calling the clock on them mid-hand when you're in the hand with them. So it's like, if you were bluffing, you're probably not just going to make a scene. Clock.
Right.
It's more like a level 2. I'm confident, therefore I'm going to make it look like I'm nervous and I want this hand to be over within a minute. Yeah. And people will just fold, or all the attention's on them and they don't want to make a bad call. So psychologically, we'll be calling some clocks. I'm going to balance it with when I want them to fold or call.
Yeah.
And just to get them emotional and off their game.
There you go.
Because,
it does it. It works.
Oh, it works.
People get so upset over that clock being called on them.
Your case is a rare one when you're like, "Oh, thanks for clocking me."
Yeah.
you never. Yeah. Oh, you're right. I was taking too long. I was being selfish.
Yeah, I seen a guy in a tournament recently. I've seen it before, but recently this guy he asked to have the clock for the guy to call the clock on him.
Yeah, that's weird.
Forever. He's like, clock me. I'm taking too long. Clock me. And nobody was actually saying anything, which was shocking that he did it.
Yeah.
And if this were someone, it's like if this kid got in a spot and it was an all-in for his entire stack of the night, maybe I would have given it maybe another minute because I understand that, but this was a half pot size bet on the river that was just ridiculous. Like, I don't understand why they like to wait